G'day, Catherine Britt. How are you doing?
G'day, Ben. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to come down and do this podcast.
My pleasure.
Well, it's got a bit of feedback audio, and we're good to go. But thanks again for coming down and joining. So, I've been doing a lot of research on your career. Now, I'd like to really introduce you for those who've been living under a rock. So, please correct me if I'm wrong. So
Okay.
this is off Google, this
I'm
is off
ready.
Wikipedia, this is off your website, where we can find it from the source herself. All right. So I believe you've recorded songs with Casey Chambers, or performed with Casey Chambers, Lee Kernaghan, Keith Urban, Tommy Emmanuel, Billy Bob Thornton, Troy Cassadaly, Tim Rogers, Alan Jackson, Dolly Parton, Elton John. You've toured with the likes of Chris Isaak and Brooks and Dunn. You've performed on television show The Today Show on Channel 9.
Yeah.
George Negus did a segment around you. You've lived in Nashville from 2004 to 2009. You've got 5 studio albums. You've won 4 golden guitar trophies. You've got singles in the ARIA charts, and you've cracked singles in the US Billboard charts.
It was close.
Close.
It kind of went haywire at the end there.
Okay.
I was like going good, and then it went weird. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up though. But yeah, I lived in Nashville for 6 years all up. So I moved there in 2002 when I was 17, and was there until I was 23 in 2003, I think. 2008, sorry, I think I came home. So, but that's so irrelevant. And I have 7 albums out now.
7?
Yeah, I need to totally go onto this, whatever page is telling you this.
I think that was off Wikipedia.
Fix it, yeah. See, who writes the Wikipedia? I need to know who does
Anyone
this.
can amend Wikipedia,
Yes,
right?
reach out if you wrote my Wikipedia
7
page.
albums.
Let
Jeez,
me
you've
know.
been busier than what I've
7
thought.
albums, a best of, an EP, and I think I've won 5 golden guitars.
Oh, see, I'm never looking at Wikipedia
I'm not
ever
sure.
again. Now.
But the rest was right, so it was fine. It's all good.
Yeah, well, it makes me question what else I've researched.
Totally.
But this is fascinating. Well, this is one of the benefits of doing one of these chats. You know, you can really clarify and cut to the core and find direct.
Yes.
Don't have to
find the
research
truth.
anything. So that's awesome. So, I was a bit questionable. Billy Bob Thornton, was there anything? I seen a picture and there was something happened there.
Yeah, so that was a really weird story, but Billy Bob actually released he's one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he's just brilliant. But he released a really great, I guess you'd call it country. It was like sort of rootsy, obscure, alt country album, like I want to say 10, 15 years ago. And I got my hands on it and just was blown away. Like, it was an incredible record, and so up my alley, so my music and so what I do. And I felt like he totally would get me and I would get him. Like, I felt like he liked the same music as me.
Sure.
Anyway, long story short, that's not going to happen. But I saw that he was playing in Nashville when I was over there, and I went along to a gig or whatever to try and, you know, see the show. And then it was like midnight and he still hadn't gone on. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I think I was like 18 or something at the time. I was super young. No, I was 17 actually. And
17 years old and you're reaching out to Billy Bob.
I was 17. I was trying to meet Billy Bob. What a groupie. Anyway, so for some weird reason, I had this great manager in America called Stan Morass. Amazing man. And he's like, you know what? Let's just go see if we can go find where he is, whatever, backstage. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, we'll be fine. So we just went up these like stairs and whatever and found this door, and it fully said Billy Bob Thornton on the door. And I was like, that's really weird. So we knocked on the door and he answered the door, and there's like whole party going on behind him. And he's like, hey. And we're like,
there's a party and you're 17, like, and you're in the States and you can't.
Totally.
Be 21.
And I was like looking behind him. There's like all this stuff going on. There's like gorgeous people. I'm pretty sure there was like people doing lines of coke and like just like drugs and alcohol everywhere. And everyone's having a party. And he just opens the door and goes, hey guys. And we're like, hi. And my manager goes, look, this is Catherine Britt. She's an artist, blah, blah, blah. She's a big fan of yours. And he goes, come in. And we're like, okay. So we kind of go into this room and he just like, would you like a drink? Would you like a line of coke? You know, what?
Whoa.
And I was like,
offering
oh my God. I didn't know I was 17. But he was just trying to be nice and hospitable and just like let us stay and hang out. Anyway, it just kind of got crazy and they, you know, it became a party. And then he's like, hey, we're all going to head over to the studio. He was doing a second album. And I know you're a fan of the first one. Would you like to come? And I was like, oh my God, I would love to come. So my manager then like split off, and I went with him and with my partner at the time. And we sort of tagged along with this crew. It was so weird. I reckon there was like 20 or 30 beautiful people just following Billy Bob around Nashville. And we were two of them. And then we got to the studio, and he like played us his new record, and it was amazing. And then he goes, all right, let's go to Waffle House and have like a feed. It was like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, sure. And he goes, you want to go to Waffle House? I was like, I'd love to go to Waffle House with you, Billy Bob Thornton. And we walked in and had food. And I remember the waiter coming over to me going, you guys with Billy Bob? And we're like, yeah, we're with Billy Bob. So weird. Anyway, so that was my Billy Bob encounter. I can't say that I've technically sang a song with him or anything, but I would love to one day. I think he's amazing in so many aspects, and what a dude. So nice.
Yeah, this is when his acting career was also quite... Well,
this is totally, he was really
around,
big.
Like Armageddon, or is it before Bad Santa days?
No, I think it was after that stuff, but before all the new, like the new stuff that he's doing
nonetheless,
now,
I mean, it's a monstrous name, like all these people you've hung out with.
It was very surreal. And I think, at the end of the day, the thing I learned more and more, these are just people, and they just want to connect like anybody else, So I think we all put them in a different category, but really they're just people, and they're either good or bad people. But generally, if they succeed and they have a long-lasting career, they're good people.
Well, do you find that? Like,
I do find that.
I mean, you're like, oh my God, Billy Bob Thornton. But when you're touring, do you get any fans like, oh my God, Catherine Britt?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And it is very weird. And I think because I know who I am. I know that I just get up and brush my teeth in the morning, and I know that I'm just a normal person on a day-to-day basis. So it is really surreal, and I can see why that is weird to him on a different level. But when people do act like that, or like you go to get a photo with a young girl and she starts crying or something, and it's surreal to you because you're not really sure why they're doing it. You know what I mean? But then you think about it, you're like, no, that's right, I'm a singer.
Sure.
And they like my music.
You must have learned some lyrics in there.
And they've probably been trying to meet me for a bit, you know, like, and you don't, when you just sort of think about it immediately, like, oh, what's wrong? Like, why are you crying? What's wrong with you? But, then you kind of put it all together in your head. But it is weird because at the end of the day, everyone's just like everyone, and you're just doing what you do and what you're good at.
It's such an awesome gift to be able to put out there. Like you might have written some lyrics or some songs or a melody or something which help people through hard times or sad times, and for them to hold on to that, that's something. I don't know if you could put a price tag on it.
No, I don't think you can. It's totally immeasurable, and it's worth everything, I guess. Like, to me, music is everything. I love it. I love what I do. I'm totally obsessed with music. I'm obsessed with my job. I'm obsessed with what I do. And I enjoy every aspect of it, even the hard stuff, And there's a lot of hard stuff, It's really hard work.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about all the behind the scenes of the hard stuff to make all the But before we get into that, because you lived, how long? You were 17 to 22, 23?
23. I moved home. Yeah.
So you left the country 17. How was that experience? I mean, there's one thing to be meeting Billy Bob Thornton and some pretty notable people. But also being away from Australia at such a young age, how did you prepare for that?
Well, I didn't have a chance to prepare for it. It all happened really quickly, and I think that's very music business. One day you could be sitting on your couch, the next day you're playing a stadium. Like that. That's what I love about the music business, is that every day there's a new opportunity, or a new thing that comes along that can change the direction of your life completely. And that's what's so exciting about it. I never needed to do drugs. I've got music, like it's a high constantly. But it's also, you've got those extreme lows, after a festival or a big event or whatever, you've got to come down to normal life again. And it does affect you for sure. But look, I think for me, I made my first record when I was 16, called Dusty Smiles and Heartbreak Cures. 16,
you released your first album.
Yeah.
So it's about nearly 20 years you've been...
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Well, it doesn't look it. That's not showing.
Thanks. So 16, I made that record, and then I don't know, just it's one of those things, I think, stars align sometimes in the music industry, and the world is ready for something like what you've just done without you even realizing. I was 16. I wasn't plotting out some master plan. I was just making a record of songs I wrote, you know. So there was nothing, you know, clever behind it, if you know what I mean. So anyway, for some reason, Elton John was touring in Australia at the time, and he got his hands on the record. The story is that he went into a record shop, which apparently he does a lot, closed down the shop so he could shop in there and go through all the, because he loves music.
Is that right?
That's what he does.
VIP experience.
So he'll go in and close the shop down, or go in after hours and they'll keep it open for him, something like that. I'm assuming that he's very humble, so it's probably something more like that. And he was just shopping through looking for new music. And he said to the guy behind the counter, what do you recommend, man? Like, what's new? What's whatever in Australia? And I have no idea why. But this guy apparently said, oh, you should check out this girl. She's only 16. She's a singer-songwriter from Newcastle, blah, blah, blah. And he did. Thank you, strange man behind the counter. You changed my life. But so Elton took it on the road with him, and he loved the record. He reached out to my label who I'd just signed with. So I released that album independently initially, and then got picked up by ABC Universal. So I'd only just signed to them. I'd only just got management. So everything was just starting to happen a little bit. I think I'd done the Casey Chambers tour, which was my first tour.
So you were touring with Casey Chambers before Elton John?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that tour. That was my first tour when I was, really 16 or 17, yeah. And then he reached out to my label and said that he wanted to meet me. So surreal.
How was that? Was it a phone call? Was it a text message?
It was a phone call from the label.
Yep.
I was sitting at home playing Spider Solitaire, I'm pretty sure, on my computer, waiting for my next shift at Domino's, thinking, why did I leave school?
Hang on, you're still at Domino's and touring with Casey Chambers?
Well, yeah, because you don't tour full time with these people. You know, I mean, back then you did. You used to go on the road for 3 or 4 months, and I did. But I then I left school for this tour. So she asked me to go on the road. I was in high school. I said to mum and dad, look, you need to accept. I'm going to go on tour with Casey Chambers, and I'm going to leave year 11. And I was devastated.
Yeah.
But I did it. And so I went on the road with her, but then that tour ended, and I was like, now what? So I had to prove to my parents that I was going to do stuff and not be a dead weight. So I went and got a job at Domino's, because all my family's worked at Domino's Pizza. Like, I'm not joking. All my brothers have managed a Domino's at one point. So I went and became a pizza maker at one of their stores.
Technician.
Sure. Yes. Yes. And boy, wasn't I. I'm pretty sure I was awful. But and I was waiting for my next shift at Domino's when I got the call. I had a shift that night, and I was just bored at home, and I didn't watch much TV, so I didn't know that there was anything going on. But apparently he was going around like talking about me in all of his interviews, like with Kerry Ann and back in the day and Today Show, whatever. He's going, oh, there's this young girl, Catherine Britt, and blah blah blah. I'd really love to meet her. And I had no idea this was happening.
So you were watching that on TV before?
Well, no, I haven't. I got copies of it later.
Wow.
But I didn't know that he was doing that.
Yeah,
but he was going around in all these big interviews saying this, and I got copies of it all later from the label. They tracked it all down. But it wasn't until he reached out that we were totally aware of what was going on. And they said, look, he wants to meet you in Sydney, get in the car and drive to Sydney. And I was like, what? So I had to cancel my shift.
Clearing the schedule.
Can't make it tonight to make pizzas. And then I just drove to Sydney and met my record label rep backstage, and it was very surreal. We knocked on the backstage door, and this big burly man answered the door, and he's like, how can I help you? And we're like, oh, which again, I feel like it's a Billy Bob Thornton story all over again. We're just here to meet Elton John. My name's Catherine Britt. And he goes, oh, Catherine Britt, right this way. So weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm somebody. And he kind of took me through, and we were just sort of placed in this room with all these other people. I'm pretty sure they were all media. So they were all just like talking and mingling and drinking. And there was like these men walking around with like gladiator little tiny little booty shorts and gladiator.
Sounds wilder than a Billy Bob Thornton party,
weird.
doesn't it?
Like serving drinks.
Yeah,
They were here like this, and it was like so like a gay scene. It was really, really cool and very, very amazing. So I was just like, wow, what's going on? And then all of a sudden we all got herded into this room, everyone this way into this room, and we all got herded in. And I kind of saw through the crowd Elton, and it was like he had like this halo around him. I'm not even joking. It was like, ah. And he spotted me through the crowd and he just was like, Catherine, and like pushed through everyone and came over to me and gave me a big hug. And the whole room stopped because everyone was like, huh? Who's that?
Who's
yeah,
that?
like it was, everyone stopped talking and everyone just looked at us. It was so weird. And he just kept going. He didn't care. Obviously, he's used to that. And he was like, you know, what's going on? Like, what are you doing with your record? Have you been to Nashville? I was like, no, I just left school.
He's your fan.
You know, it was so weird. It was so strange. Anyway, and he said, look, I want to help you out. Will you stay for my show? I want you to see what I do. And I was like, yeah, sure, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm busy.
Like, I don't know what you do. But anyway, I mean, to be honest, I was 17. I knew some Elton John stuff, but for me, the Elton John impact was Lion King. Like that whole soundtrack and everything. I knew him from that. So I was totally, and that was my favorite movie when I was a little kid. I loved Disney and stuff like that. That's how I first started singing along to Disney songs. So I was such a fan of that stuff. And I stayed for the show, and it was live broadcasted around Australia. So it was, I think it was his last show of the tour, and it was like a on telly special. And I was in the audience, and he went to introduce a song. I'm not sure what it was at the time, to be honest. I could probably look it up somewhere, and he said that he wanted to thank me for coming. And he said I was this great new singer-songwriter from Newcastle and blah, blah, blah. And he just like did this big spiel on stage in front of 50,000 people in the whole of Australia.
Yeah.
So I went home that night like, I don't think I'll ever top that. And I don't really know what to do now. And I got a call the next morning from my manager, and he said, look, let's not get our hopes up, but he's asked for 20 albums to take to the US with him on tour. So let's see what he does. Like, you know, he said he wanted to help, but it may be nothing. But that's pretty cool. He asked for 20 albums. And I was like, okay. And I reckon it was like 5 days later, maybe not even a week. And I started getting calls from all the major record labels in Nashville saying that Elton had just been in their office and gave them a copy of my album.
You didn't even have to try for this to he just did it off his own back.
I'd never been to Nashville. I'd never even nothing. Like, it was very surreal. So DreamWorks,
just like that, your whole life
all of them were just calling and saying, Elton John's told us we have to sign you. Will you fly over and meet with us? And it was just really weird. And then, you know, the first to fly me over was RCA Records.
So how did you resign from the Dominoes? How did that
Yeah, boy, wasn't that a conversation. Yeah, look, I think at that point, you know, it wasn't too long after that I went over to Nashville with my dad because
was this like a one-way ticket? Were you thinking I'm going to be there for a month? Or
it was a, you know, come in and meet with us sort of thing for a week.
Yep.
And you know, we'll go from there. I had no idea they were ready to offer me a contract on the spot. I thought we were just meeting, like, to say hello. I don't know. Like, I didn't know it was what it was.
Sure.
Yeah, and they flew my dad over with me as well because I was too young to contractually sign a contract that was binding, you know, by the law because I was 17. So my dad flew over with me and we met with the label and I sang on the Grand Ole Opry, which was my first time doing that. So I'm the youngest.
What is that? What is it?
It's like this prestigious stage that, you know, Elvis, Hank Williams, all the biggest stars in music have played on over the years. So they used to say that if you sing on the Opry, you've made it. So it's like, I guess it's kind of like Carnegie Hall for rock and roll or...
So you're 17, you've just achieved that and you're thinking,
so like,
where do you go from here?
So surreal. Like that whole trip in Nashville, I was like so sick. Like, because I think it was too much, you know, like I didn't know how to handle it all. And I was just a young girl from Newcastle who went to Whitebridge High, you know, it didn't make sense in my head and I couldn't process it all. So I was just kind of going along with it all. And I remember watching videos of me as a kid doing it. And I was really happy, but I was really confused. And I remember we went to the Ryman Auditorium, which is another famous country music place where the Grand Ole Opry started originally. And I was like getting sick in the garden out the front because I was so anxious and I just didn't know, I couldn't process it, I guess. And my dad was the same. We've talked about it years later.
Well, it's not a natural act for a human being to go through this.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know anybody else. You know, I've been in the music industry, as you said, 20 years or so, and I've never come across another artist that has been through that experience. Even to this day, you know, like the people that are over there and successful now.
So I guess perhaps other artists would gradually
Well, they go there
go to
and
their
work
levels
on it for 10 years, and that was their
and
goal.
build
you know,
and
like
build and
Keith
build,
Urban.
except you just
Yeah.
went boom right to Elton John
Well,
status. So
yeah, and I
that
got
level.
signed
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
away, which has never happened, and it was just really weird,
But
you
it
know.
did.
And I think it did. Yeah, well, it
Yeah,
did, and
yeah.
I moved over there, and
Yeah.
you know, it was great, and I think, you know, I needed to have that experience, like almost like going off to college, you know, like to learn all the things
So
about
that was
my
happening
job.
around you about 17.
Yeah.
I think you were over there for how many years?
6 years.
6 years.
Mm.
What happens in the years to follow? I mean, where do you go from there? Like,
yeah, well, I did 2 albums with RCA over there. And had a few Billboard hits in America. Toured with Brooks and Dunn and Alan Jackson, and had an
I don't really
amazing
follow
experience.
country music, and even it's just like they're like the biggest, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
some of the biggest names you can get in
I
country.
guess, you know, at that time they were.
Yep.
I'm sure there's, you know, people who have sort of taken over now, the Taylor Swifts and whatever, although she's more pop now. But, you know, at the time they certainly were the kings of, you know, country music, and it was an epic tour, an amazing experience.
How many people were you playing in front of?
Oh, stadiums, like, you know,
It's a little
100,000, I don't know.
So here you are working at Domino's, and then playing to how many stadiums of people?
Yeah, it was, really surreal when now that you say it like that, I guess. But, you know, I kind of always knew I was destined to do that, you know, like in a way, like I was confident in it as well. You know, I was a confident 17-year-old, and I don't think I was your everyday, you know, like I look at my nieces and nephews at that age, and my God, they couldn't have moved to another country and pursued a career and signed
Just
contracts.
maybe you had the desire or that burning passion,
I think I was
perhaps that belief.
Ahead of I've always had an old soul, I feel like, and maybe I just, you know, I'd been on the road a lot to that point already too, so I was kind of experienced in the industry. And look, still, it totally took me by surprise and was strange, but I think I was somewhat prepared. But in a lot of ways, no, I wasn't at all prepared. So.
Are we ever really prepared?
I don't know
if
you ever can prepare
jump
for
and
that.
grow wings on the way down. Right?
No, that's right. You just hold on for dear life and see where it takes you.
Well, this is what I really want to know. I mean, that's fascinating.
Weird
history.
story.
I mean,
should write a book
of that 20-year history of your career. We just touched on just a couple of years, but I mean, is that correct? Like, not just you've toured with Brooks and Dunn, but it was Chris Isaak.
Yeah. So in between the 6 years, I'd come home and do a little tour in Australia to keep things going here. Because I'd only just sort of started out here.
So you were touring the States and then touring Australia. Were you backwards and forwards?
Yeah, so I'd come home for like a month a year.
Wow.
To tour Australia, just to keep things happening here, release a record here, whatever. So I still had a career in Australia that, again, was just building and starting. But, you know, I would have sellout shows and stuff when I came home. I guess the hype had, you know, from the Elton John stuff and that had worked.
Well, we love that. Like Aussies, we love anyone who's cracked it abroad.
True. Yeah,
true.
The
little Aussie. Hey, coming back home.
It's very true. Yeah, that's right. And I felt that support and I felt that love. And it was really great to come home and do tours. So one of those tours was opening up for Chris Isaak on his national Australian tour. So, which was one of the best tours I've ever done to this day.
Why is it?
Legend. Oh, they just really treated us like family. Again, I was 18 at the time, and I took all my, you know, my little kid band with me, all my mates, you know, and he was just so, I don't know, just so kind. Like on the very last show of the tour, he and the whole band got up on stage, and I didn't know what was going on. I just heard the audience start screaming in my last song, and I'm like, well, I'm really killing it on this one. And then I realized the whole band was on stage, and they got on and sang the last song with me.
Wow.
And then
didn't say anything.
Had a cake and everything. And Chris Isaak was wearing my shirt, Catherine Britt shirt.
Oh man.
And he had a cake saying "Great tour, Catherine." And then during his show, I used to get up and we'd do Devil in Disguise, you know, the old You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. So we'd do that together.
I don't know that
song.
I
know. Anyway, we'd do that together and every night. So I got up on his thing and wore one of his suits and one of his Chris Isaak shirts. And it was just really special. Every night he'd come off and go, come on, superstar. And he'd take me to the signing desk and just really kind to me and really took care of me. And one of those interviews, I feel like it was Current Affair, came out and did like a special on me at that time with everything that was going on. And they spoke to him, and the things he said, it's just beautiful. He just really,
Well, he
he
seems
really
like
believed
such a
in me.
charismatic guy.
Oh yeah, so charismatic and so talented and so kind, and it was a lovely
That's
tour.
amazing.
Yeah.
How many tours have you done?
Oh,
So we just touched on a couple there, just to stadiums.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, like hundreds. I've toured with every major artist in Australia over the years. I did a big tour opening up for Lee Kernaghan in the early days too, which really made a big impact on my career because he's got a real solid base.
Sure.
Yeah, I've done them all really. And then as far as Australian country artists go, I've toured with them all over the years. Yeah, I don't know, a lot. And then my own tours as well, like I'm doing my own tour at the moment, which, I built obviously up to that.
Yeah.
Where now I can go out independently and have my own support act, which is such a cool thing to give somebody else a chance and, help somebody else up. So, yeah,
nice one. That's
I love that now.
Well, really want to talk to you about this travel and touring side of things because that's awesome that you've lost count. Because when you compare that to many people who do travel or go on a tour, not necessarily as a musician, but going on their own personal adventure, going on their own holiday, going on their own destination, some people plan for months. They pack out what underwear they're going to be wearing on certain days. Like some people are that meticulous.
Yeah.
Other people are just like, oh, we'll figure it out as we go. But because that's what I do. I do travel and I run so many tours, and I see that in so many people. But what I'm really interested to know is how do you prepare for a tour? Because I believe, and I thank you again for coming down and doing this podcast, because I think you're preparing for a tour today, or you're about to be on the road.
Yeah, I go back on the road today.
Today?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm in the middle of a tour called the Bush Pubs Tour, which is the first one that we've done. And this is an initiative that I put together myself. So I've never done my own thing before. I've always had a team around me.
When you say put together, you become independent?
I booked all the gigs myself. I put the whole concept together and sold it basically to the pubs around Australia, and it worked, which, it just blows my mind. But my husband and I have traveled around Australia for the last 3 or 4 years in a caravan. So what we found when we were traveling around was that there's this total lack of entertainment and music in the bush. And back in the day, the Slim Dusties, you know who that is? Yeah.
Yep,
Slim Dusty. Yeah. Well,
he's from Kempsey.
Yeah.
Got a museum after.
Nice. The Slim Dusties of the world would go out to these small communities and do shows. They'd take their traveling caravan show and go out to these little small communities, Aboriginal communities, these places that, no one went. And they'd take this huge show to town, and it'd be this huge event, Slim Dusty's in town, and people would come from hundreds of k's away to see it. Well, no one really does that anymore. So in the bush now, you've got the drought and you've got all these other things going on too that are depriving them, but then also they're deprived of entertainment and music because no one goes out there because it's so dear to get out to the west and, whatever, and travel out to these places. So we just felt this need as we kind of were traveling along. I'd do the odd gig here and there for a bit of petrol money, a bit of fun, because I missed playing because I was having a break and writing an album, but I missed playing. So I'd do an odd gig, and literally I'd book a gig. I did this gig in Nevertire, which is out west. And I called the pub and said, look, we're coming through. Do you want me to come play a show, whatever? Just give us, some money for petrol and place to stay.
Wow.
Happy to do it. And they were like, are you serious? Like, we would love that.
Like, who is this?
Yeah, who is this? I think we booked it a week out. And I just put it up on Facebook. Hey, look, I'm coming through Nevertire. I'm going to do a last minute show. Would be fun to see, whatever. I'm not even joking. It was like the Bush Telegraph. Like, people out there don't get any of this stuff, and it's spread like wildfire. And next minute, it's this huge gig, and there's some of the best shows I've ever played. Because
why is that? Why are they like different types of fans or support?
I think they're just excited, beyond the people in the city, because these people in the city, or on the coastal areas, they get this stuff all the time.
Sport for choice with entertainment.
Totally. And it's just an everyday thing for them to go to a gig or whatever, or they go to them all the time and they're not really that, as excitable about it. Sure, they're excited to come see their favorite artist or whatever, but it's a different level because these people out there are just excited for a country gig.
Yeah.
Because they're country fans. It may not even be your fan. They just want to come and see some music and have fun and have a beer with their mates because they've been working on the farm.
They might be used to, like, the entertainment might be the local cover band.
Sure, if that, like, they're really, really starved for music. So anyway, I had this idea and I sold it into the pubs and it's just working, and I think it doesn't hurt that the moment my tour started, like pretty much the drought broke, not really, but there's been a hell of a lot of rain. All the fires got put out. It's like Australia rejoiced the moment my tour started, and it really impacted the way, because I really was worried that people would come because, when people are in devastation or they're struggling, they don't want to go out and have a night out. They're struggling to pay their bills or their sheep are dying or whatever, so these things don't occur to them that they're going to go to a Catherine Britt
provide like an uplifting experience.
And I think it all just was timing and it all kind of played into everyone's in a good mood out there now and they're celebrating and it just worked in with my tour. So we're getting amazing crowds and it's just such a great vibe. And the show we've put together is very bush pubby and lots of fun and very interactive. And, we scull a beer in the show and all this sort of stuff. So it's very, very Aussie and a lot of fun. And
scull a beer
it's
on the...
great. Yeah.
Can you still play?
It's so bad. We do it at the end of the show. A and B, I am so bad at it. Like I am a seasoned drinker. I'm a musician, but I really suck at that. Like I thought I'd be better at sculling a beer and I always get like halfway through and everyone else is done and I think I'm going to pull it out.
Or do you give everyone a shot of vodka and you've just got water?
That'd be nice. I would scull water, no worries. But the beer is like bubbly and cold and not easy to do. But anyway, so I go back on that tour today. But yeah, this is the first tour.
Where's the first one today?
So today we're playing Burke tomorrow. So I travel around with a caravan. So because at Burke's like 8.5 hours away.
Hang on, the whole band is in the caravan now.
So I have a caravan. For me, I'm taking my kids this weekend too, and my mum to babysit. Thanks, Mum. So it'll be us in one car with one caravan, and then I've got my band, Ben and his wife, who also sell coffee at the gigs. They've got a coffee business called Backroad Baristas. So they do coffee at the gig, and then they've got their caravan and their little boy, Avery. So it's a very family thing. So I've started small. This is sort of the crew at the moment, but when I go and sell it in again in 2021, I'm going to take a band and sort of grow it and make it a bigger and better thing.
That is amazing.
So, it's been a lot of hard work paying off, which is nice.
Well, what I've really found, because I've done a lot of touring, but very differently.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges I've always faced is your personal relationships. I've missed birthdays, I've missed weddings. It sucks.
Yeah,
you really want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to be there, but your line of work, it's like, I'm just going to call in sick today, and you just can't do it. But it sounds like where you've been touring for a long time, perhaps overseas or Nashville, around Australia, has that been a reality? And has this sort of influenced the caravan and bring...
Yeah, the caravan definitely makes it easier to be a mum and do what I do, because my job does not play well.
How many children do you have?
I've got two
Wow.
little boys. Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old.
Whoa.
So I only just had a baby not long ago. Yeah, so...
Oh, really? Thank you for turning up. You're a busy woman.
It's my pleasure. It doesn't. It's not like compatible with what I do. Being a mum. Like it's really hard, and I think that without the caravan, it would be really, really hard. And a lot of my friends, because a lot of the people in the music industry around my level at the moment have all had kids, so it's great. We're all on the same page. We're all struggling together, trying to work it out, how to be a parent and how to have a career.
Yeah.
And it's really tough as a woman, definitely, because I was breastfeeding up until a couple of weeks ago. So, it's really tough. I can't be away from the baby, but I've got to work and, it's a struggle, but the caravan definitely makes it easier. But, it's still really, really hard. And a lot of my friends just leave their kids at home and go away for the weekend.
Sure.
We're lucky now that it's just weekend travel. When I started out with Casey Chambers' tour, I'd go away for months at a time. Now you just kind of go off and do a weekend and come back.
So it's more sustainable touring, perhaps.
Well,
so
you get those couple of days at home to, there's more of a balance now for sure. I say that, but in 2 weeks I go away for 10 weeks. So it's not really always a balance. And that's something I've got to work out with my partner, how to get the kids in and out so I can still see them over that 10-week period. But, my kids, I think they'll understand. I think when they grow up, they'll get it. But
does that recharge you? Do you find that you get more momentum doing gig after gig after gig? Or is it better to do a couple of gigs, detach?
Yeah, I like to do a couple of gigs than regroup.
Sure.
Now, maybe it's because I'm older and I need sleep. But I'm not 17 anymore where you could just go and go and go and go. I think for me, voice wise, even like I like to be able to rest. After a few gigs in a row, I sort of start to feel the wear and tear on my voice, and yeah, I think for me, I enjoy that weekend, and then the coming back to reality in between. So
Wow.
yeah, it's good. I much prefer the new touring. And then I've got friends who just like the McClymonts, who are an Australian
Do other
sister
musicians sort of
band.
follow this concept? Like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah,
yeah?
they've all got kids, and they just do every second weekend, so that they've got a weekend at home with their kids. So I'll probably do that next year because that's very clever. I never thought of that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess you get to a certain point where you can control all of this stuff. When you have a career, you can sort of mold it the way that you want it. Which is nice. I mean, I'm so grateful for that. I've worked for so long to get to that point, and it's nice that I can work it around my kids now.
That is awesome. So, based on the unforgettable amount of tours that you've achieved, I mean, going from hotel room to hotel room, in this case, caravan destination to backyard, outback pubs to, like, what's some travel recommendations you could provide? So,
Yeah.
what's sort of your go-tos or your rituals that you do? So go, well, I need this to happen to make the tour successful.
I think for me, packing light has become a really good thing. I used to just overpack when I was a kid, and I'd take so much stuff, and you use like, I don't know, 1/10 of it, of what you actually pack. So for me, I've really learned how to consolidate and just take what you need. Um, Even if like I used to take so many outfits for on stage, and you're doing like 3 gigs. So you need maximum 3 outfits, maybe 5 to sort of work out if one doesn't, you feel fat in one day or whatever. But now it's like I'd probably take less than that, because you can wear the same outfit 2 shows in a row. They're not the same gig. They're in totally different towns. I think really differently about this stuff now, and I just want it to be simple and streamlined. I think, you've got a certain amount of space in the caravan or on a plane or, in a Tarago with a band traveling, or whatever. So you've got to be considerate of all that stuff. You've also got your guitar. You've got all this other stuff you've got to take. So your clothes need to be as minimal as possible. I just take my essentials.
You can always buy some along the road, like along the way.
You could, yeah. I do shop a little on the road. Not going to lie there. But I think you just got to, pack exactly what you need. And I know that's hard. That's harder to say than to do, but you just get better at it over time, I think, too. It's something that you kind of learn what you need. And I have a very, very simple regime with my, it's not like I've got all this skincare and stuff like that. Like, I'm terrible about that stuff.
I'm a previous chat. Much the same advice, talking to Grant Walmsley about that from Screaming Jets.
Well, he's a bloke. I'm sure he doesn't have any skin.
I don't even think he would change his underpants. Like, it's just like, yeah, pair of jeans and a shirt and good to go. I was like, yeah, that's rock and roll.
I would love to be a guy. that is so, oh man, I would love that. I hate, the one part I don't like is that every day I've got to, get all made up. We've got this thing in society where women have to be all made up, to present themselves. And it's a real shame.
Is that really that, like, performer sort of
I
rock?
think, well, there's a few things to it. If you don't wear makeup on stage, you do get really, really washed out. And I get that. It is a stage thing. And, all performers have to wear something. Even men have to wear something so they don't look like a ghost on stage. So I get all of that. But this extreme level of women having to go to that next level of, all this makeup and whatever, and changing their appearance almost because they don't feel beautiful enough, I guess, to go on stage without it. That, at times I've wanted to rebut against that and just go on stage without makeup and just be like, just be you, but it is such a part of my industry. And I hate that about a girl. You've got to do your hair, you've got to get all your makeup done. And, men just chuck a pair of, jeans on and a shirt and they look amazing.
T-shirt and
yeah,
get away
but
with it.
And you look great. Like, and you chuck a pair of boots on, boom, you're ready to go on stage, Be lovely. How I wish.
Oh, that's very interesting. So you are a mother now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, how do you so I was just doing a bit of research as well. It's more recent times you're talking about that appearance side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I found a couple of things. It was in 2015.
Okay.
As far as like putting looks in perspective on how it can be important or not so important is, I think you're diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, did that like help your perspective when it comes to these look sorts of things? I mean, because some people think like, oh my God, looks on stage, such a dramatic impact. But did that change your mindset towards these things?
Getting diagnosed changed everything for me. I think I was gifted the gift of hindsight at 30. I don't think most people get that till they're much older. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of good that came out of that too. And the fact that I survived it and came out the other side and can say I'm a cancer survivor is again a bonus, that I was gifted that, that near-death experience, but I got to live it out the other side. Most people don't get that gift. So yeah, I mean, it changed me completely. I would say the post-cancer Catherine and now are two different people. And I think that's what it does to people. I think getting sort of faced with your own immortality just really changes everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, a heavy experience to go through. It was really tough for many, many years, and I'm still seeing sort of the side effects of it now on my marriage, personally. It doesn't ever really go away. And I think if you speak to anybody who's been through that, it sort of is with you forever, and you desperately want to move on from it and get on with your life, but it's part of who you are. And I have a song in my show called F You Cancer that I do. And I always thought that I'd do that for a certain amount of time and then I'd move on.
Yeah.
But I've now realized I can't. Like, that is part of who I am. And I need to sing that song for the people who are going through it now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I love that song.
Thank you.
I was seeing the song and I thought, that's such a powerful. But do you mind, James? I think a shout out who got mentioned for that was possibly already know, it was Elton John. He gave you a very warm. Do you mind if we sort of talk about that?
Like, sure. He did like a little video.
Yeah, we just. I think it's on YouTube. I think
so. I don't know.
Possibly.
Maybe. We shall see.
Hi, Catherine. It's Elton. I'm in Las Vegas, but I wanted to send you this message because I know you're doing a tour in support of breast cancer, and I know you have suffered from breast cancer and you're recovering, and I want to send all my best wishes for you. You're doing an amazing thing, and I want to say F you cancer too. Have a wonderful tour, and I'll be thinking of you.
That's very kind and supportive.
Really cool. So we did this big tour at the time I was going through it all. I think, there's two ways that people go when they go through this stuff. They either put their head in the sand and deal with it on their own, which is totally okay. And that's some people's way of doing it. They just want to, go insular and deal with it on their own. And there's other people who do what I did and just make a big deal out of it, and that was my way of coping and getting through it. I wanted to raise money. I wanted to be loud and tell everyone I had cancer and that I'm 30. And to me, that meant other people my age might go, oh, crap, can you get cancer at 30?
Yeah,
I'm going to go get checked, So that was I just made it a bit of a mission of mine. And I really do think it was a coping mechanism for me to just go crazy. And we did this big tour, raised a shitload of money for the McGrath Foundation. And it was a huge success. And it was the FU Cancer Tour. So, and it was great. People like that, did a little intro at the beginning of the shows, and it was incredible. I was very grateful for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's a hard topic, so
no, it's all good. I think I'm beyond all that now. The only reason, my auntie's actually in a hospice at the moment, and she hasn't got very long, so it's sort of hitting home again. And that's the thing about cancer; it just keeps continually hitting home because it's so common, and I hate that. That's why I wrote that song, because it's just. It angers me how common it is, and that we can't get a hold on it. We can't fix it. It's everyone's so freaked out about all these other things like the coronavirus and all this other stuff. But man, cancer's taking people out like that daily. Like, it's crazy. So, I think for me, it's an important message that I would like to keep doing going forward. And I'm very proud to have the opportunity to do that.
It seems like you've reached a level of perhaps gratitude, so blessed and fortunate to be just experiencing every day.
Yeah.
Or, you got an amazing tour ahead of you. Just in the country, rural parts of Australia.
And I wasn't supposed to have kids. I had a batch of chemo for 6 months, and that can wreck, your reproductive system and everything. And they had this new drug that shut down my reproductive system, which is amazing. So I was put into menopause at 30. So weird. And then I came out of it, and I was able to conceive naturally and have 2 boys naturally.
Oh, fuck you,
So
cancer.
yeah, it's really amazing. So yeah, I'm pretty grateful for sure. That's the best word to use. I'm super grateful.
Well, that's thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure.
We'll start to wrap things up here, and I really do appreciate all the time that you've spent so far. But
It's been a great chat, mate. Thank you.
But I've always tried to just do a bit of silly things, have a bit of a game. Why not? It's about having fun and enjoying life, right?
Yep.
So a friend of mine said, I'm doing a podcast with Catherine Britt, and what's some questions I could ask? Thinking some more insightful. A friend of mine, he gave up with 7 sort of wacky ones here. So,
okay, ready.
So it's basically the game is would you rather.
Oh God, yes.
So
at least it's not have you ever.
No. Next episode.
Yeah.
So would you rather, number 1, be invisible or be able to fly?
Oh, definitely fly. I dream all the time about flying, or like not quite. I like kind of take off, but then I have to come back down to the ground because I can't quite get high enough. But yeah, I would love to fly. Oh my God.
Well, this could be an interesting one because you work at Domino's. Would you rather, number 2, unlimited pizza or unlimited coffee? And you're drinking coffee at the moment.
Pizza or coffee? Well, see, it depends, because if it's like Napoli Centrale, whatever it's called, that pizza, oh my God, I would eat that 24/7. That is the best pizza in Newcastle. This is Macca's coffee. Yeah. It's way better coffee in Newcastle.
Mate. Yeah, we're in the centre of Newcastle.
Sorry, I was in a hurry. No, there's so many great coffee shops in Newcastle, and I love coffee. Oh, I would say coffee, because pizza's not my favourite food. So I'd go coffee. I need coffee every day.
All right, so this is a good one because you know what life is like on the road. Not brush your teeth or not shower for a week.
Oh my God, neither.
If you had to choose,
I've lived in a caravan and a camper van, so I've gone like a couple of days without showering because you swim in swimming holes and stuff. So you're like, that was a shower.
Yeah,
that'll do.
That's a good alternative.
So I guess I'd go without a shower. I need to brush my teeth. Oh my God.
Well, you can wear the same outfit on stage twice, which is almost kind of the same thing.
Yeah, true. Well, I don't sweat that much, so that's handy. But no, I think. I would reek, but I'd go without a shower then before I go without brushing my teeth.
All right. Well, you did mention about some Disney cartoons. I think you were a fan of Elton John during the Lion King days.
Yes.
So would you rather be a unicorn or be a mermaid?
Unicorn or a mermaid? Mermaid. I think that's every girl's dream, right?
What's wrong with a unicorn? Unicorn's pretty cool.
It's like a horse thing. Like I would rather be like more human and have a tail. That's cooler. Because that'd be me, but I just kind of grow a tail. Rather than become a horse thing.
Hopefully your husband watches this one because I actually didn't know you were married before this. So number 5, marry for looks or marry for personality?
Can I say both? No, look, I think the thing that made me fall in love with my husband was definitely his personality. He is me, basically, but a man. We're very much the same sort of person, which, makes it very hard at times too because we butt heads all the time. But I think, it's also what I love about him that he's, center of attention, funny, he's crazy. He's very crazy. So, yeah, I think personality, but he's also really good looking. So I don't know.
You got both?
I'm going to go with, got
yourself
I
a
got
winner.
the whole package.
Yeah.
All
right, we got 2 more.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather go 1 year without Facebook or 1 year without Netflix?
Oh, that's hard. Okay, because I use both daily. The thing is, so Facebook for me is totally just a publicity tool. I get on there and look at some stuff for my family and stuff.
Until you get your own special on Netflix.
Yeah. See, but I love Netflix.
Yep.
I'd probably go without Facebook. And keep Netflix.
Especially when you live on the road.
It would ruin my career, but do I still have Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Be like, YouTube now? Yeah, it's all switching.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and the last one. Would you rather no sex or no talking for 1 year?
Wait, what?
These are the questions.
No sex or no talking for 1 year?
Yeah, if you had to give it up.
I do like to talk. Oh God, I don't know. Probably no talking, to be honest. I'm sure everyone says that.
Oh, dear. Well, Catherine, I really do appreciate you taking time, especially
My
because you're
pleasure.
about to zip out on the road as we
Yeah.
speak. So, good luck on your tour. I was looking on your website, and I'm a well-travelled Aussie, and there's some places I haven't even heard of on that
Ooh,
tour. So that's
really?
like, whoa, you are going out.
I'm
back.
going into
So
very isolated areas.
yeah, and I wish you all the best of luck on the tour and moving forward with the family life and living life in the Caribbean and travelling, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.